the main lessons I learned from Patricia was her "we don't care about reality" motto.
We are now ready to move into all the fun of 2023. Last week we did some closet organizing, talking all about the dress up closet, but now we're moving on to inspiration. Inspiration is one of my absolute favorite parts of the creative process. It's about gathering, almost writing a story in your mind or visually, and then kind of creating from there. So we're gonna head to the studio. I've got all my stuff. I've got all my creative things that I'm gonna bring with me. I'm gonna bring my books and magazines that have been percolating in my mind. And then also one of my favorite things in the world is writing things in notebooks. So I've been jotting down notes of just what I'm really loving, even just key items that I'm loving. And there's definitely a few themes that have popped up for me in terms of inspiration. So we're gonna go to the studio. I'm gonna break it all down for you. We're gonna talk about what those inspirations are, share all the imagery, even then highlighting key items that go along with each category. And then I hope that I have some time to put together a mood board as well, just to kind of get myself extra inspired and hopefully also get you inspired. And before we head to the studio, I just wanted to chat about our sponsor for today's video, which is Green Chef. I'm a huge fan. Green Chef is a CCOF certified organic meal kit company. They help you cook clean, delicious dinners with step-by-step instructions, and then really just make it so easy with pre-measured ingredients. And what's so great is that Green Chef is really changing up the game with meal kits by offering options for every single lifestyle. So they have vegan, keto, paleo, Mediterranean, gluten-free. They really have all the different options available for you and make it so easy for whatever lifestyle and whatever you or your family eats. Every recipe that I've made with Green Chef is so delicious. What I really love is they provide an always changing variety of recipes. So you're constantly getting new ideas, new recipes, and you're really never getting bored with what you eat, which I love. I really just love how convenient and easy Green Chef is. They deliver straight to your doorstep, so you're not going to the grocery store. Makes me so happy. They make cooking easy, and I love it because I'm spending less time meal prepping and planning and just more time enjoying my dinner with my family. In choosing Green Chef, it really just makes it so easy to focus on your health and your wellness. I lean towards eating mostly paleo, and so they make it so easy for me to cook paleo meals for myself and my family, but they're really making it easy for whatever your lifestyle is. So if it's keto, if it's Mediterranean, gluten-free, they've got all of those options for you. And it's a certified organic company, so you know you're getting the best. You're getting organic proteins, wild-caught seafood options, seasonal organic produce, even eggs. So something new for Green Chef is that they're kicking off keto in 2023. So now for breakfast and lunch, you can find recipes on the menu or also meal bundles in the Green Market. So whether you're already eating keto or you're just keto curious, this is a great way to kick off 2023 with keto options on Green Chef. And for me, with the new year, I'm always doing a reset on just eating. So I love that I've been able to kind of just quickly jump into resetting our table with really good paleo options for my family. So we've been really enjoying those, and I love it because they're really delicious, they're healthy, but they're also something that my whole family enjoys. And I know that I'm starting off the new year right. I'm also making it easier for myself with just the boxes delivering straight to my door with all of my groceries and all of my meals. So I'm so excited to tell you that I have an incredible offer. If you use my code BJONESSTYLE, you're going to get 60% off plus free shipping, and go to greenchef.com for further details. So make sure you click the link down below, use my code BJONESSTYLE to get 60% off plus free shipping on greenchef.com. So we're gonna head off to the studio now, and we're gonna talk all through inspiration and key items and trends that I'm loving. And I'm really excited. This is my favorite thing to dive into, and I'm excited to share it with you.
officially in the studio, and I'm so excited to break down just what's inspiring me right now. We got our mood board done. I'm so excited. These are all from one of my favorite magazines. I don't know if you guys have seen or picked up this magazine, but it's called Blanc, BLANC. And I got it at one of those amazing magazine stores in New York. If you haven't experienced those, you need to. I can't think of the name right now, but there's a bunch of these incredible, just little magazine shops in New York on the corner usually, and they're full of every single fashion magazine you can imagine, which I just feel like is so hard to find now. So I'm in heaven the minute I walk in general, but this is my favorite magazine. I love the styling, and so I just put a bunch of the styling behind me as just the constant source of inspiration here in the studio. Before we hop into my current inspirations, I just wanted to share something. Over the holiday break, I watched Emily in Paris, the third season, and the thing that captured my attention is, of course, the costume design. I know Patricia Field did 2 seasons with Emily in Paris, and then Marilyn Fitoussi, who worked with her on those first 2 seasons, took over, and she went bigger and bolder this season. But what I love is that I read an article on Vogue.com, Australia actually, and she said the main lessons I learned from Patricia was her "we don't care about reality" motto, which gave me great freedom regarding tone and spirit. I let go completely. And so when I read that, I was like, that's always play dress up to the max. I love that idea because that's really the drum that I beat to, which is I don't really care about reality. I just kind of dress for whatever I'm feeling during the day. And a lot of times I do feel like I kind of escape into a character for the day. So I loved that whole mindset, and I just wanted to share that with you. But let's dive into my inspirations. So I'm going to start first with probably my number 1 inspiration right now. And if you've been following me on TikTok or even just on Instagram in general, you might see that this is starting to happen within my personal style. But I'm having a moment with 80s dressing, in particular, kind of that power 80s. I even think of over the holidays watching Home Alone, and I watched Big recently, and there was just this like New York power dressing 80s, early 90s mentality, and it kind of captured my heart and my attention. And so I've been really digging into archives of 80s and really exploring that, but also looking at designers who have reinterpreted that idea even more kind of recently, in particular Marc Jacobs from 2018. So I just want to break down that inspiration for you. And I created a character in my mind. I love to tell a story when I'm having an inspiration. And so I came up with this idea of the Glam Gramercy, which you might know, the Gramercy Hotel, which is in New York on the very private, exclusive Gramercy Park, which is only allowed for residents. And there was the Gramercy Hotel, which I guess closed after COVID, which is so sad. And it was, very posh and exclusive. So that's kind of the mentality that I'm thinking of, as this fabulous New York woman at the Gramercy Hotel. And she's, exclusive and VIP and party hopping in the 80s, but a businesswoman and power dressing along the way. And so I've just been putting together a bunch of images, and you're going to see some of them here, but definitely key elements for me right now are the idea of bold shoulders. So lots of shoulder pads. I'm even considering pulling some shoulder pads from other pieces and putting them into other things, like taking a sweatshirt and putting in shoulder pads or things like that. So I'm looking for lots of bold shoulders. I'm loving a very cinched in waist with all of that volume. So the bold shoulder and then the very cinched in waist. So I'm digging out all the blazers, all the jackets, the trench coats, and then I'm cinching them in. In terms of pants, I'm really liking the idea of like very drapey, trousery pants with even a little bit of a puddle down at the hem. And when I think about then down at the hem, I think about shoes. And with shoes, I'm loving a pointy toe pump, a pointy toe boot, something with a little drama, a little dagger coming out there at the bottom of the shoe. And even my little ballet flat, pointy toe ballet flat, I'm really liking that idea with the trouser pant, and it's going to create more of that dramatic puddle on the bottom. And within Glam Gramercy, I see gloves. I have a pair of purple YSL gloves. I'm thinking they need to come out and play. Lots of big, bold earrings again. I'm loving that idea of pulling out some of my gaudy gold, big, huge, chunky earrings, wearing those with just the slicked back hair, or the idea of really bold, chunky necklaces, maybe even right around the neckline, like a really big statement necklace with skin and then a bold shouldered blazer on top. And since I'm thinking about so much cinching, that is making me think of belting. And so I'm thinking of all the vintage belts. I'm wanting every belt, all the things. And I have an amazing collection of belts that I've been building for 20 plus years. And so definitely pulling out those as much as possible and really cinching in anything. Even today with this camo jacket, I've cinched in really tight with a vintage 80s Western belt. And then just exaggerated shapes in general. So, speaking of the bold shoulders, but just looking for anything dramatic and exaggerated. So an exaggerated oversized sweater, a really exaggerated trench coat, exaggerated sleeves, just all the drama. I want all of it. One of the collections that I've been re-inspired by is Marc Jacobs 2018. He did very much this idea of that power dressing from the 80s. And I love the big wide brim hats. I love the scarves wrapped around the head and then the neck. I love the big, huge florals, which let's just talk about how much florals are trending right now. It's crazy, but they were even described as, I think, like cabbage rosebuds, which just means they looked like big heads of cabbage rolled up there at the neck. And I just loved the drama of that. And then you can even just see in this behind the scenes clip, all of those details of the head wrapping, the big hats, the really exaggerated shapes of the blazers, and just all this suiting. So I'm having a moment with that. Oh, also on that, I also playing around again with the idea of a headband, but then also more of that kind of a band right here at the head. I just recently took a scarf and I wore it, and I'm loving that right now. So you're going to see me probably doing that a lot. It might become one of my go-tos, the way hats became a big go-to last year. So I'm just having so much fun with this whole Glam Gramercy inspiration, and I've put together a whole Pinterest board for this idea, and I have the link down below, and I'll probably be adding to it over the next few weeks or even months, because sometimes there's ongoing inspirations, and then every time I see an image like that, I just add to it. So if you want, you can go follow that board and get the inspiration. And then my second major inspiration right now actually started with my last thrift trip of 2022, and you may already know what I'm talking about, but I kind of had this moment with a few finds that really reminded me of Prada, especially like 90s Prada. And so that woke up my brain to that idea. And I just really started to dive through archive imagery of Prada, which then led me to ask for the Prada Runway Collection book for Christmas. This is the book that I'm talking about. So I got this incredible book. It's all of Prada's collections. I'm going to show you some of the ones that I'm loving in particular, but this is a big fun Christmas present. I think sometimes that's how inspiration happens for me, is actually finding something either in a vintage store or a thrift shop, and once I have one item, it kind of leads to more discovery of an idea. So I think finding that gray dress and that gray skirt at the thrift store just really woke my brain up to the idea of Prada even more. And so I'm just loving so much of the inspiration of Prada. There's a few key elements about Prada I think that really excites me. And the first thing is just their use of color. Often, of course, Prada lives in that neutral territory. So there's a lot of grays and creams and browns and tans. But then mixed with that is some unexpected pairings. So sometimes there's this really acidy green mixed with brown, or something that feels a little more like edamame in there with the brown. Also really punchy oranges, even a cornflower blue mixed with brown. So there's lots of pairings that to me wake my brain up. So I think even if you just look at Prada for their color stories, that can really spark something for you where you could think, oh, I have pieces like that in my closet, or you maybe have a color in your closet and you don't know what to wear it with. go to Prada, look at how they mix color, and then take that as your inspiration to jump off with. Another element that I love, Prada has used this over and over in so many of their collections, is the idea of sheer and sheer layering. And it almost feels strange when you think of Prada that they do use sheer, because there is something very sophisticated, classic, and buttoned up about Prada, but then they'll use this sheer dress and see through, or you can see the bra or even underpinnings with their collection. So I love that, how much they use sheer and creatively, not just the basic sheer idea. So they're going to take a sheer dress, but then they're going to put maybe a linen skirt underneath, and that sheer layer will be over top the linen skirt underneath with some strappy sandals. Or they're going to have this really cute kind of bralette and bloomer set underneath a dress. And then my favorite way of them using sheer is when they have tights, like a colored tight or a really opaque tight underneath a sheer piece, which then leads me to their third element that I love, is their use of tights and socks, especially like knee-high socks. And often they're really playing with color the way that they do within their collections. So they're going to have a really interesting pair of, I love this, like gray tights with a gray Mary Jane shoe. Or they'll even do some of their color blocking and their mixes within their socks or their tights. So they'll put an olive green knee-high sock, but then they'll add this acid lime green stripe on top of it. And while we're talking about tights and socks, I also want to mention it's made me really love a Mary Jane. I have these really classic black Mary Janes that feel very Prada. And then even my little ballet flat has a Mary Jane element to it, which makes me feel like I'm ticking the box on the Prada Mary Jane idea. But I definitely want to add maybe another pair of Mary Janes into the mix. Also my cow print Mary Janes. I feel like they do some print mixing as well, and that is making me want to pull out my cow print Mary Janes. And I do feel like they've played with some fun characters in some of their collections that have just inspired me in general, like the character that they create. My favorite right now is from the 1993 collection, and one editor described the collection as Haute Hobo. And it's this idea of, there's a little bit bohemian hobo element to it with, you know, a dressed up haute appeal. And they even described it as a mix of Maid Marian and Robin Hood, putting their clothes together and kind of coming out with a child in the form of clothing. And some of my favorite looks from the collection are these very intricate, again, sheer on top dress, and then the bottom has all of this texture, and it's kind of like a chocolate brown with layers of texture. And then on top is just this classic woodsy olive, you know, almost military style jacket on top, and then these floppy hats. And I just fell in love with that whole storyline. So in general, I'm just having a massive moment being inspired by Prada, probably in a way that I never really have before. And it's all thanks to a really great thrift find that has sparked all of these Prada musings. And then my last major inspiration right now is Western, which I feel like is always an inspiration for me. But I think there's been a few things that have kind of just sparked it to another level for me right now in my whole getting dressed process. First of all, I think at the very end of the year, I did a fun little dress up collab with Annette from Vintage Splendor, where we dress up the idea of 7 days of Western. And so that made me kind of go back to all the Western pieces in my closet in a way that I kind of hadn't in a while. And so I think that sparked it. And then also I've been watching 1923, which is set in Montana. It's the Yellowstone kind of series. And it's Montana in 1923, and just the whole Western mentality, which is not necessarily everything they're wearing. It's just that idea of Western, and definitely seeing lots of cowboy hats, you know, wakes up my brain to want to wear some cowboy boots and some cowboy hats. And then last, which is another find, and I'm realizing a lot of finds inspire me, is a belt that I dug up at Crossroads. And it's a simple Western belt, but there's something about it that is absolutely perfect. And I want to tell you about this belt because, first of all, it's designed by Streets Ahead, which is a USA-based made in America company that's been around since the 80s. And I first heard about this company because the designers for Sex and the City and then Now and Just Like That always use belts from Streets Ahead and work very closely with them. I think they even did a collaboration. So I had heard of them before, but they really just make amazing belts. And I love belts, but really well-made belts are on another level, especially vintage ones too. But this belt, it just kind of sparked something for me, and it just has the perfect amount of cinching. It's a great color of, like a camel-y color brown. And it's just making me want to dress up Western looks, or at least add a little Western element to some of my outfits. And you can even see here in this look, just taking some kind of classic plaid trouser pants, but then cinching in with that belt made me want to just take the rest of the outfit down the whole, horse trail. So there you have it. Starting off 2023, these are my main inspirations. We've got the Glam Gramercy, we have Prada, specifically probably 90s Prada, and then last, Western dressing. Those are the things that are percolating in my brain that are getting me really excited to play right now. And I don't know, they just feel kind of fun and fresh. I love to kind of collect imagery within this. And then I think once you collect all the inspiration, and what I've done then is go back through my closet and find kind of the key items that play into all these looks. Like I mentioned, the bold shoulders, the cinched waist, the belts, Mary Jane's for the Prada looks, even the color combination. So I look through my entire closet and I pull out some of these kind of key items to then inspire dressing within this inspiration. And it really is about kind of soaking up all of the inspiration, not looking to necessarily replicate something that you see, but it's like you take it into your brain. And I love this, especially if you're like a thrift secondhand shopper. Taking in that inspiration then makes the shopping so much more fun and easier, because you have that. You're not even necessarily looking for something in particular or feeling like you have to find one thing. It's just that then your eye is honed in on what you want to find. And so all of a sudden you're kind of looking through a rack and you see this amazing, leather piece. And then you think about, ooh, I could totally do 80s power dressing with this, or I could do Western dressing with this. And I don't know, it's just so much fun to kind of play once you have some big inspirations in mind, and not necessarily just like one particular thing or a look that you've necessarily seen on Pinterest. It's like the soak up, and then you can kind of go out and dress up from there. So that's all of my inspirations currently for the beginning of 2023, and I'm gonna have so much fun dressing all of these up. I think I'm gonna put together a whole rack in my dress up closet that are inspired by some of these inspirations, and really kind of approach this with shopping my own closet, because I have so much of this already, and then maybe kind of making a list of some of the things that I feel like I could fill some gaps on, but otherwise really sticking to the idea of pulling from my own closet for this. And that's it for today's video. Make sure to click the link down below in my video description to sign up for the weekly scoop email, because I'll break all of this down even more in the email, and you'll get a lot of these mood boards and some of the inspiration, and even a list of some of the key items that you'll want to add to your list if you're inspired by any of these inspirations as well. So make sure you are subscribed to the weekly scoop email, and you can give this video a thumbs up if you like it. Subscribe to my channel. I have new episodes that come out every single Thursday at 8 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. And finally, always play dress up. Bye!